So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what you should walk into the wine store and ask for in order to get a wine that will perform the way these wines performed with a pairing. I want to make sure you have the very best pairing experience possible. And I know that if I just say the best wine for this dish is XYZ, you're going to roll your eyes in the back of your head and say, how am I going to find that wine? Or I'm never going to find that wine. And I really haven't helped you get where you want to be. So I'm going to do two things. One, I'm going to make it easy for you to find the specific wines we like for this dish. So we're going to make it easy to find this, and these guys. However, I realize either because limited production or shipping rules, you might not be able to get the wine that we think is best for this dish. I still want you to be very happy with your pairing. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what you should walk into the wine store and ask for in order to get a wine that will perform the way these wines performed with a pairing. So we're going to talk about the Chenin Blanc first. We're going to help you understand what you should ask for when you walk into the wine store, or if you work in a wine store, we're going to help you identify which wines you want to offer for this dish. So the Chenin Blanc. Irene, what do you think people should ask for when it comes to this wine?
Well, I think they need to go to their wine shop and let them know that they like a Chenin Blanc. They want one that's dry, because you can get Chenin in a variety of dryness or sweetness levels. So that's really the first thing. There is some richness here to the wine. I think that there's some lees stirring, so that gives the wine a little bit more body and weight. You need something with some weight that's really going to be able to stand up to this, to the richness of this dish. Mm-hmm. And I think you want, kind of a subtle fruit flavor here. For me, I'm getting lemon curd. I'm getting orange peel. And maybe some sort of riper citrus. Mm-hmm. You've mentioned tropical fruit. For me, the tropical fruit is on sort of the passion fruit end of things. Not as exuberant as passion fruit, but there's something a little bit exotic about the fruit quality that's here. And of course, as we mentioned, certainly you want something that's quite high in acidity, mm-hmm. which is typical for the Chenin Blanc grape. So. Mm-hmm. Shouldn't be too much of a problem.
Cool.
Yeah.
I would add that I'm not sure whether you should ask for a Loire Valley Chenin Blanc or South African Chenin Blanc, some of the best Chenin Blancs in the world, but I do know that you should make sure that it's got tons of acid. This dish wants more acid than you might think you want in your wine. Trust me, it can take as much acid as you throw at it. I think you want zero oak, because the oak does create kind of a bitterness, an experience that you don't want. You do want tons of weight. The dish itself, between the butter and the lobster, is a weighty dish. And to get a seamless transition, you want to make sure the wine has weight. But again, you don't want that weight from oak. Like Irene mentioned, you might want that weight from lees stirring to give you some weight and heft to the wine. And you want to make sure that the wine has those citrusy tropical fruit flavors, because those contribute to the experience to make it a better composition overall. You can get a lot of Chenin Blancs out there that don't express that. You want to make sure that yours does have that. And like Irene said, you want to make sure it's a dry one, because if it's a sweet one, a lot of people will say, I kind of like sweet wines. But if you talk about, or you play the video for your wine store, or if you are a wine store and you pull out the wines that meet that description, I'm pretty sure that you'll have a fantastic experience between the lobster with steamed lemon, with lemon and butter sauce, and this wine. Another one we liked was the Pinot Blanc.
Which was a real shocker.
Yes. So if you walk into your wine store and ask for a Pinot Blanc, what should you ask for? By the way, this is a German Pinot Blanc.
I think you need to ask for one that has a good bit of acidity, because often Pinot Blanc is not that bright, is not that fresh. Certainly there's a viscosity to this wine here that you get. I do get some citrus notes here, but I also, upon retasting it, get some notes of peach. And there's really just a very delicate kind of white mm-hmm. floral quality mm-hmm. here, but it has to be very subtle, or else it's really just going to completely mm-hmm. overpower this dish. And I also think this wine has a really nice minerality to it, mm-hmm. Which I think complements the seafood.
So again, you want to ask for a German Pinot Blanc, one that has tons of acidity. Again, tons of acidity is the key. No oak, I think, is the key. richness or body from somewhere.
Yeah.
And you want to have a hint of those tropical citrus fruit flavors, because with the dish, those will blossom. If they're obvious, like they are with the Riesling, then they'll be overwhelmed. So you want something that's a hint on the wine by itself, because again, they'll blossom with the dish. Now Chenin Blanc, I'm not Chenin Blanc, I'm sorry, Chablis. And Chablis can be oaked or not oaked, can be all over the place. Let's see what this one's like, so we can tell you which one you should ask for.
Again, mineral, citrus, acidity. There's this super savory, like almost saline spine that runs through this wine.
Yeah.
That makes it just in general a great food wine.
When you drink the wine by itself, you start salivating.
Yeah.
It's just so very citrusy and that salinity and minerality. So again, the key for all these is tons and tons and tons of acid. This one doesn't have those tropical fruit flavors, but just got some nice citrus fruit there, and 0, 0, 0 oak, right?
Not that I can discern.
Yes.
If it is, it's used.
I don't get it. So some Chablis should not have oak, but more and more oak is sneaking in there. So you should make sure it has no oak in there, no obvious oak. I keep saying no oak, but I mean no obvious oak, which means neutral oak.
But I think there's a richness here as well as a result of some
lee stirring.
Lee stirring.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So you do want texture or body, because again, you want to make sure that the wine doesn't create a disruption with the food. If the food is very rich, you want the wine to be rich as well. One of the wines that the tasters liked best was a Merceau. If you're looking for a Merceau, again, Merceau can be all over the place in terms of style. So which one should you ask for? I think you're going to say tons of acid.
Yeah, that's the common theme here. There's oak on this, but it's very well integrated.
Right.
It's subtle, and instead of being sort of an overblown sort of butter vanilla bomb, really what you're getting from the oak here is more of sort of like a smoky kind of gunflint kind of quality. Subtle, but I think it works as a complement to the dish.
Right. I think this is a very, very high acid Merceau. You only have an indication that the oak is there. You don't have the taste that the oak is there. And some of the guys we tasted, you had the taste of the oak was there, I think. It's just very subtle. It's almost like you want enough oak to give the wine some richness, but not enough oak so the oak turns into bitterness or it turns into a distracting experience. And again, when you taste this wine, the first thing you taste is acid, and that's what's great for this dish. All right, and now for this guy, which should be super crazy oaky, but we'll see what happens. This is the California style Chardonnay. And I say California style because they're making California style Chardonnay in other regions beyond California. What should they ask for here if they want this experience?
Something with new oak. It's rich, it's viscous, it's got a bright finish, but it's very rounded, very voluptuous.
Right.
It's not as heavily oaked as a lot of Chardonnays are. I mean, it's nothing like a Rombauer or anything like that. But there's certainly new oak here, for sure. I get that. I'm left with some sort of like I think of buttered popcorn is what I get here, and there's kind of a tropical fruit note here as well. I think it's sort of like this is a kind of a luxurious pairing.
Yeah, this is a departure from the other guys because it's not nearly as much acid as the other guys. High acid, but not nearly as much acid as the other guys. And I think what's interesting with this one is if you're walking to a wine store, what kind of oak to ask for, because it's interesting. It's not. Irene mentioned Rombauer, and other people we talked to have mentioned Rombauer. And Rombauer it's called an oak bomb. It's just oak, right? It's over the top. It's like unashamed oak, and this has I would say the presence of oak. you might disagree. It has the presence of oak, but not the taste of oak necessarily. So it's a very interesting kind of oak in this wine. You can't really say it's integrated. Is it muted?
For me, there's plenty of oak on it. Yeah.
There's enough oak. But again, is it Rombauer?
No, no,
Is it
no,
like-
no, no, no,
yeah,
no.
is it
No,
like-
but for me, I mean, it's just it's discernible.
Right, but you have some
That's the
some
first
wines
thing.
like Toasted Head, which is like some low cost. It's a wine out there called Toasted Head, which is a very oak forward wine.
Oh.
They're wines that are totally oak
I don't
forward,
know.
and this is not that oak forward. Maybe what happens here is that the citrus notes compete with the oak to kind of like mute it a little bit. But this is a very particular kind of oak.
I think the fact that this comes from the Santa Cruz Mountains is key because it's cool there.
Yeah.
And you've got some elevation, and that helps to preserve the freshness in the wine.
Does that mean more acidity?
That means more acidity.
Yeah. And maybe that keeps the
Yeah.
oak at bay. So, cool. So those are tips that we want to offer to help you find the wines that create fantastic pairings with this dish. Hey everyone, we got a ton of great videos for you. So click somewhere around here to see the next one.